Good morning and welcome to Tarot Time. And if you're watching this as a video, whatever time of the day it is, welcome. And what we do in Tarot Time is we dive into the energies of the week using tarot and other divination tools to give you a forecast and energy update, what to expect, how to plan, all that kind of good stuff. And lots going on. There's going to be a lot to talk about anyway. So if you are watching as a video, just hang out for a minute. I just want to let the live people get their notifications, get on. So I'll take the opportunity to see who's on. Millie, Chris, Karen, welcome. And Katie, Bluebird, hi. Hello, Angela. And love to you as well. So also, this is kind of our community hour here on the Medium channel. So we will be as interactive at times. So that's why I like to ask your comments and welcome. I want to say welcome back, but I don't think you went anywhere, Katie. But welcome back and happy Sunday. And Chris is in. All right. And Karen's in. All right. Is this Karen? Hi, Hi, Karen. All right. And Ivan, good rising and good day. I don't know if you're in Australia, but good day to Leon and India. New to the Medium channel. Great. I'm grateful that you found us also. Hello, Amanda, as well. All right. So, hi. Beautiful day here in the Catskills. The humidity's down. It's a nice summer day. It can be low, mid 80s up here in the mountains, closer to 90 in the valley. Mary's in, and Mr. Floyd. Hello, Josh. And yes, so before I get into this, just a couple quick channel updates in case you didn't see the posts. We're taking a virtual hiatus this week. I do have a video that I did last week that I'm posting on Monday, which is tomorrow at 11 Eastern time, AM that is. And that's the more condensed version of the July psychic forecast. I think we did the live a few days ago, right? I think that's the longest. It was over an hour and a half long. I think that was the longest live stream I've done on the channel. Just July is such an action-packed month, energetically, astrologically. So I did a condensed version that's about a half hour long. So it's like, that's the condensed version, trying to get out all the information and everything. So yeah, there's been a lot going on, right? Always a lot going on, never a dull moment in 2025. And a lot's coming up basically also. So I wrote a couple of things in my notes. What did I write? Oh, yeah, of course. One of the things, and I've been really enjoying Stefan Burns's channel. He's a geophysicist, but he's very knowledgeable about space weather and other things also. So he's talking about two nova explosions that have impacted the Earth during the month of June. And, we get nova explosions, like once every 100 years, every 200 years. And he was talking about a supernova that hit year around 1000 AD, around that time. I forgot the year, 1014 maybe, or something like that. And, talking about some of the conflicts that followed that. So, I mean, when we see a nova explosion here, however many light years away that is, that's how long ago it actually happened. But we're starting to get the effects through radiation, X-rays, gamma rays. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it's all energy. And the stars, everything's aligned in the universe. Everything's connected, just like in our bodies, every atom and every cell is connected. So in the body of the universe, all the stars, the nebulae, the galaxies, they're all connected, and it's all like a symphony, for lack of a better way of putting it. So if something explodes in one part of the universe or the galaxy, it's got effects in the rest of it, and it affects the Earth also. So that may be just a little bit of extra juice that's going to charge these astrological aspects and make July a very changeable month. I think it's going to be a make or break month for a lot of people. I mean, I have my own beliefs of how energy works, and And we're going to get into the tarot in a minute for those that are coming on and wondering, where's the tarot? This is tarot time. But so we all have our own take on things, right? But there's general consensus is that everything is related, everything's connected, and everything affects each other. So with the to say, with that extra energy from the apparently, I don't know where in the sky it is, but apparently it's actually visible to the naked eye. They're actually two from the same area, not a supernova. It's more like a star interaction creating an explosion, basically. But anyway, there's with the new telescopes and everything, we're learning a lot more about what's going on in space. So everything's connected and related, and we have we have our Saturn Neptune conjunction that's going to be, I think, within 14 minutes of an exact conjunction in mid-July. We have Pluto and Uranus at the flank of those conjunctions, trining each other and then sextiling Saturn and Uranus. And then we just had Jupiter conjuncting the Sun, and that's a big magnetic gravitational flow. So basically, that's why astrology can be such a good tool, because we're getting measures on how the planets are moving and how that's affecting things. Let me see what you guys are saying. Hello, Amanda, Roseanne. Hello, everybody. Happy birthday. Hey, happy birthday to Roseanne. Hi, light worker. Welcome. Like, we need more changes. Yeah, exactly. Of course we need more changes. Of course we do. All good, right? All good. And and beautiful energy, beautiful day, and you guys are part of this beautiful energy. We're a community. So in any event, so everything like moves in waves, right? Including time. So we go through periods where time is moving slower, time is speeding up. We're not able to perceive that from the human perspective, because we're sort of locked into this 3D process. So we're not able to see, like, from the outside looking in, and how we know everything moves in waves, like light waves, sound waves, all that stuff, ocean waves. That's how energy moves through the universe, but time does that also. And then we have like these cyclical patterns, like in ocean waves, for example. What's really happening, what we see is waves under the water. It's like this propagating circle that's moving out from whatever disturbed the water, whether that's wind or sometimes very low pressure can actually pull the water up just an inch or two, and that can add to the surface waves of the oceans. Really fascinating. I learned all this in meteorology studies. And same thing's happening with time, with cosmic waves and everything like that. So when we get these pulses of energy, it's almost like light, like spiritual light that's affecting the earth. And I know a lot of people have been talking about, like, they've had, like, over the last week or two, they've had like epiphanies, like realizations and awakenings. And that's really only going to continue. Now, they were showing me that this week is more likely to be, at least trending towards the middle to later week. It's more of a reset time. I mean, the moon is still, I mean, it's not new anymore. It's starting to wax now, but it's kind of in a little bit of a lull. The sun's been in a little bit of a lull. We just had a C-class flare just the other day, but the coronal hole that's been streaming a lot of um, ionic or magnetic. Okay, I need water. All the science on a Sunday morning is making my head spin. But anyway, so we had that's spinning out, so that's not affecting us. It related to what, a G1 solar storm. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it's all energy. And then we had the planetary conjunctions aiding that. So all this light energy is really, charging up our fields, basically. And it's all happening in waves, short waves, long waves, medium waves, so forth and so on. So we have a little bit of a lull, but I think it's going to pick up. And July 4th, July 5th is an interesting day, because there's been all these prophecies floating around. I forgot who did the original prophecies about a mega quake off of Japan in the sea of the Philippines, off of Japan. Like there's Japan, then southeast of that there's the Philippines, then due south there's Indonesia, and then there's kind of like the sea in the Pacific Ocean. There's been a lot of minor, but there's been a lot of seismic activity leading up to it. So there's a prophecy there's going to be a big quake, big tsunami, so forth and so on. What I found doing this predictive work for like 20, 30 years, however long, if something's really out there and everybody knows about it, it usually doesn't happen. It's crazy, and it just shows that consciousness really affects reality. Reality affects consciousness. Again, it's kind of like this symbiotic relationship. So if everybody's aware of something and everybody's like doesn't want it to happen, it might affect things. That's part of what I was talking about: time and energy moving in waves. So you really don't know. I mean, I do predictive work here on the channel. Obviously, those are my most popular videos, which is why there's been more of them lately. I want to provide for you guys what you guys want from me, basically, and also it reaches more people, so we wind up getting more people on the Medium channel. So we've been doing more of those, but we have to remember it's all consciousness, it's all energy, it's all waves. We can change the trajectory, we can change the timing. That's why as things go on and things get more and more dicey in the world, we're going to do more and more prayer work, and more, we're going to get together more here on the channel, pool our energies, and send a lot of love and positivity out to the collective. Those people are very scared. I had a conversation with someone the other day who's knows somebody in I think in the Bronx, somewhere in New York City. And they're saying about a friend who, I forgot what country she's from, but she's legal. Like, she had a job. ICE came around, they detained her, grilled her really hard questions, and and people are really scared about what's going on in the world. And I know a lot of people that come to the Medium channel support the current administration. I think more are against it, but it's pretty even and pretty balanced, because I really don't, I try my best not to be biased or interject my own personal biases or opinions when I'm talking about like what I see going on. But what point being is, whether you support what's going on or not, you have to understand people are suffering, and you can say that's true of any administration. This isn't the first time. It's just on a whole new level. So have compassion for those that are being displaced, and those that are really scared and really don't know what's going on. And some of you may feel like, well, this is actually part of the awakening. In a way, I feel like that also, in a way, because I look at the Trump administration as the big coyote. In the Native American legends, that's the trickster, but the trick is getting us to learn. And sometimes we have to really face our own shadows and our own demons, and then have this public figure being sort of a manifestation of our own inner demons and inner conflicts as a collective, basically. So we're getting shown this, and then it's like, what do we do about it? There's something that we need to learn and grow through the process. So the point being is that, even if like a lot of people believe that Donald Trump's like the devil's apprentice, or whatever your belief is, it's all happening for a reason. And then if you believe that he's really like helping to expose the corruption and awaken the masses, we still have to be compassionate for people that don't agree, that are scared, that are suffering. So really, my message for that, and I'll get off of my soapbox and into tarot in just a second, is just be compassionate and kind. You don't have to agree with the other person, but don't just attack them and just blindly attack them, because that's just feeding the problem, right? All this duality and all, I mean, from a not a higher perspective, what's the right word, from a more I can't even think of the words, but in any event, things are happening in order to create change, basically. And it's not always happy. But anyway, what are you guys saying? And then I'm going to dive into a little bit more tarot. Oh, he's none of that. What are you saying? Oh, hello, my loves. I was seeing what Amanda was saying. Show. You didn't want to show your comment for some reason. He is none of it and maybe a little of all of it. Yes. Fresh squeezed orange juice. That's the way to do. Off with his head. Thank you. I think you're joking. And what would I say? Dark roast. So are we coffee, tea, or caffeine free here on a Monday morning? Uh, and supporting authoritarian is hard no for me. I can't say I support that either. Oligarchy, authoritarianism, no, that's not what this country's about, and it shouldn't be what the world's about. And so anyway, so there's a method to my madness. There's a point of me bringing that up. I mean, it's just so in our face, and people are having a really hard time with it. And we have to know there's a higher authority, right? Spirit, God, source, that's guiding our awakening. Sometimes when we're on the threshold of a big awakening, it's almost like offloading all this negativity that's been part of the human collective for thousands of years. More the primitive human, that we're really starting to shift into a higher level. And a lot of the solar activity, what's going on in space, is bringing in these light code frequencies. It's helping our dormant DNA and our higher potential starting to awaken. And then when that happens and the energy increases, because the earth and the collective fields hold on to and store all this negativity, thousands of years of warring, of conflict, of conquering, of creating suffering amongst the masses. Once these higher energies hit that, it gets released. It's got to express itself through the physical before it leaves, and it's doing that now. So try to just maintain a higher perspective. Stay in your heart, because then you're in your power, and it's harder to program you when you're in your heart, because your heart is the largest electromagnetic generator in the body. Hearts can't be programmed, only the brain can. But when you expand the frequency of the heart, the brain locks into coherence. That's why it's called heart-brain coherence. And then when the brain is reunited or reconnected with the heart system, then your brain, your subconscious, doesn't get programmed so easily either, and you see through things, and you come more into your power. And the more in our power we can be, and the more grounded, the more open in our heart, the more we're going to receive these light code activations that's going to aid and abet our ascension and our awakening. So anyway, with that, let me just peek at your comments, and then we're going to go right into it. And Laura, welcome. Compassion for those with hatred in their hearts is the big. It's a very big test. Yeah. Right. Forgive them, Father. You know what you do. Think about that. That poor dude was hanging from a freaking cross, right? um, and nailed to the cross. And what did he say? Well, according to the Bible, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And I try to keep that in my heart also, basically, that they're programmed. And, we get a lot of vitriol when I do it. You can't win. If I'm doing a forecast and politics comes up, particularly our American president, no matter what I say, it's going to be taken in the wrong way. And I'll go down the thread. I'll have one post, in a very nasty way, saying I'm a left wing, a liberal, blah blah blah. I don't understand. I'm asleep. I'm a sheep or whatever. Then in the same freaking thread, it'll be like, oh, you drank the Trump Kool-Aid. You support Trump. You support the devil. How dare you? Blah blah blah. And it's like, hello. It's like, we realize that we are programmed to believe if somebody's not all in with you, that you feel like that they're against you and they're a threat. And that's not by accident. That's by design. And whatever forces are controlling the political party, because the left wing and the right wing have a lot of the same people that fund things. A lot of the I can't think of my words this morning. That's usual on this. If you're new, that's normal on a Sunday morning. But but the back, a lot of the same entities back both parties. That's what I'm trying to say. So they're really like two sides of the same entity, even though one side has different views than the other. They come from the same source, basically, and it's all orchestrated. The more we're hating on each other, the more we're closing our heart off, and the more susceptible we are to programming, basically. So anger, confusion, fear, it's all invoked into the collective. Look at the media, look at the subtleties, look at everything. It's all a plan to keep us down so that they can continue, they being the deep state, cabal, globalists, whatever name you want to give them, the Vanderbilts, Rockefellers. You get the drift. A lot of you know what's going on, behind the scenes. As long as we're fighting each other, then we're not questioning what's going on, basically. And then they continue to whittle away at our rights, continue to control things. Now there's AI, there's new tools, smart cities, all sorts of things. And again, that goes back to that oligarchy, or that that power over people. So as we evolve and awaken, power is going to come back to the people. The governments will be much more interactive with the populace. And it's gonna be a good thing. But we got a lot to get through. So anyhow, let's do some cards, right? You've already been queued. I'm sure I'll be a queue somewhere on this thread here. What is saying? Wild mountains and lakes. Yes. Yeah, playing the victim. We don't want to play the victim. We are spiritual warriors here, right? We created it on a collective level. We created our lives on a personal level. We're 95% subconscious, and some of it is karmic, so it comes from other lifetimes, so we don't know how we're doing it. But if we understand, again, that everything is connected in the universe, everything moves in waves, everything has similar patterns, including time, we understand that everything in this matrix reality, in the Maya, or the illusion, is set up in a certain way so that we learn and grow. And how can we learn and grow if our own energy isn't what's reflected back to us? Basically, we have to know that individually and collectively, right? So spiritual warriorship is about assessing your playing field and being a strategist, and being true to yourself, being of honor, true to others, true to your word. All that stuff plays in. So we don't want to be in victim mentality, be like, poor us, this big bad coyote is ruining the country, ruining the world. But the thing is, you don't want to be in fear and anger, because then your actions are going to reflect the problem, not the solution. What you want to do is say, well, this is what's happening for a reason. So I'm going to go into my heart. I'm going to connect with spirit and ask God, spirit, or source, what can I do to make a difference? And then your actions will be aligned with the solution, not the problem. So that is the key. And I get scared too. I get angry too. I'm not better than you, or more spiritual, or the grand poobah or anything. But I've been around the block and been studying and practicing for a long time. So I've reached a point where I can at least step outside of myself and realize, what, this is my ego reacting. This is not who I am. This is who I am in this very, very short, minute lifetime, right? So anyways, mixing cards up, so we're getting close. Yes. Hey, Mr. Floyd. Yes, so a lot of you guys have YouTube channels, right? Let's post our links so everybody knows. We had a video. I wouldn't say it went viral, but it hit the algorithm. It's got like 80 something thousand views now. And when that happens, that means a lot of new people come in. So maybe a lot of new people want to know what your channel is also, because we are all a big YouTube community, big happy family. And I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning or not. I may have, but we're taking a virtual hiatus for the week on. Yeah, I did mention this in the beginning, but for the people that just came in. So other than tomorrow, which is the condensed version of the July psychic forecast, and I may do a tarot short here and there, but other than that, unless something major comes up, I'm not going to be on much until next Sunday tarot time, and then we're going to go back to our normal schedule. And we'll see if the July 5th prophecy happens. Like I said, I think it's too out there. Too many people know about it. I don't think it's going to happen. But there's a lot going on in that area, and I still think, and if you saw my forecast, I still feel that area is very vulnerable. Well, Japan's always vulnerable to tsunami. That's why tsunami is a Japanese name. So that's a hotbed, anyways, and we're kind of overdue for a tsunami anyway. The last one of significance was 2011. So, these are part of the Earth cycles anyway, but there's more energy entering to the field. So everything kind of gets oscillated or the oscillations get more extreme. So, the events will be more high end, often because of that. So anyway, all right, so we do a meditation card that will tap into the energies of the week and something to work on in your meditations. So let me just clear my mind and pull the card. Oh, this is a nice one. See, the Four of Wands is a meaning that's kind of like, this is often a marriage card. You can kind of see why. It's kind of like sort of a nice, sort of a happy, grounded, going into some energy, almost like a victory. But often what I see in this card are the two wander rods here and the two wander rods here, and then there's like an opening. That's like the 1111 portal in a way that's represented in this card. And it's just kind of saying, we were talking about ascension and how these higher oscillations of energy are hitting the earth that are affecting our personal fields and the collective field and triggering or catalyzing more spiritual awakening, more epiphanies and stuff like that. So this is inviting you to step inside the portal of the heart or of spirit or whatever. So the way to meditate, or the way I meditate with tarot cards, there's infinite ways to do it, obviously. But like any other meditation, I'm going to get very relaxed, very present, very much in the now with my breath, just like any other meditation. I'm not a name, I'm not a body, I'm energy, I'm frequency, I'm spirit, having spirit. I become my spirit, having the human experience, as the saying goes, right? So I get to that point of being very present. I'm aware of the energy, what I'm feeling, when I'm feeling my body, around my body, when I'm feeling my emotions and all that. So in my mind, I'll step into the card. It's like a doorway to a new reality or new portal. As soon as you step in, just be aware of what you feel, how that's a little bit different. You may feel more energy through you. You may feel happy. You may feel sadder. You may have a different emotion, but be aware that because our emotions, when we're not like in our own egos or in our own stories, and we're very clear, not thinking, we're just clear. Then when emotions come, they're emotions that aren't really of your ego. It's more like the energies, emotions, the letter E in the word motion. So it's energy, emotion. So if you can clear your own stories, then what you're feeling is really just the energy that you're receiving and how that's being processed through your energetic systems, as it were. And sometimes that's related to energies of other people or other situations, but in this case it's the energy of the card, and everybody's going to experience it slightly differently because we're all individual manifestations of that divine whole or oneness. So you step in, and then you might see what's around this card. It looks like there's a nice white castle, not the kind with the little tiny burgers, but looks like there's a little archway. So it's sort of like coming to almost like a nirvana energy in a sense. There may be these may be spirit guides, that are welcoming you into this higher dimensional reality. There may be other guides you don't see, scenes you don't see in this opening to this. It's almost like a crack into that, and just be, talk to the guide or talk to your higher self and just see, what do I need to know? Now, 4 is an interesting number in numerology because it's taken to be grounding. It's like the square, like the box, right? So when you get a lot of fours, you're being called on to think outside the box. But it's also in Western numerology, it's ruled by the planet, not Jupiter or Uranus, which is the planet of surprises, sudden changes, evolution, revolution. So it's got, four's got a lot of energy to it, basically. So how are you going to evolve, basically? So anyway, that's the meditation card. So next on the agenda, I like to do a 3-card spread, just to maybe tap into more of what's going on in the week. And before I do that, I just want to, get a little peek in your comments. 4 of rods, right? 4 of rods, 4 of wands. Yeah. Then this in the Hanson Roberts deck, it's rods, but it's the same as wands. Yeah. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. That and the oh god, I can't remember the name of the other one that I use. It has those beautiful prints. I can't freaking remember the name of it. All right, White Moon. So that was in the card. And Amanda's saying that the card brings. It does have a card. It's one of those cards from what I studied. When I studied tarot, that doesn't really change a lot if it comes up reversed or ill dignified versus upright or dignified, basically. So it doesn't really change a lot. And we do card reading on individuals. So basically, when I'm doing the cards, it may tap into your personal life individually, into what's going on in our community, in our collective here, and the big wide world around us. And it can mean different things to different people. Yeah. But if you're asking if I do individual readings, yes, I do. And I should get into the habit of like posting my website and my email. I could use a promoter, right? but if you want to get more information, my website is atombetweentheworlds.com, and the email is info@atombetweentheworlds.com. Hello, White Moon readings. Another reader, it looks like. Yes. What are you guys saying? Okay. Going back a little ways. Hi, Janice. I saw that you popped in also. I don't think we're talking about trolls. We've gotten a few of them here, right? I don't know if there's any trolls that are on right now. I haven't seen any. I don't think trolls who target a comment, whatever. I was a student of Yogiji, poke and provoke. Bless him. Yeah, Yogi Bhajan was definitely an interesting person, but he channeled Ram Dass with one S. Ram Dass with 2 S's was still living in Yogi Bhajan's time. Indian Sikh and both Kundalini Yoga to the West, basically, or together they developed the system of Kundalini Yoga, which since kind of got taken over by male ego minds, and from the outside looking in, it looks very cult-like, but it's if you can ignore that, it's a really, really powerful practice. Just to put that out there. I see my internet's wavering, so if I fade out or whatever, I apologize. Only one little bar, yeah, in my the Wi-Fi here in the Catskill Mountains. Spectrum needs to upgrade their equipment. Maybe we're getting hit by solar flare now. That could happen, or that nova explosion that just reached the Earth in the beginning of June, and then there was a secondary one. Perhaps that's affecting. I mean, it all affects, right? It's all electromagnetic in the end. Yeah, I agree that what MDR is saying about Yogi Bhajan, Yogiji certainly had flaws. Yeah, I don't know if Uba ever got on, because she actually lived with him on and off for about 8 years or so. She has some interesting stories, to say the least. But he would not sugar. Well, yeah, that's one of the things I like about it. He'll tell it like it is. When people would go for counts, he'd say, "Drop your neurosis and tell them to cut your SH blank 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 blank." Yeah, it's good to be that way. Yeah, but as long as you have compassion, right? Don't just blow people away. But yeah, drop your ego. I like that. Yeah, I'm never a big fan of that whole thing of lose your ego or whatever. Dissolve, I can take. Um, Drop, I can take, because what you do at the end when you reach that those higher states, you're really integrating your ego and allowing the ego to do its job, which is basically navigating this physical illusion reality that we're in. But until you're trained, the ego runs the show, right? And that's where it's a problem. And when we do spiritual work, we have to get out of the ego so we can go more into the higher, right? So I like dissolving or integrating the ego better than losing the ego. It's just terminology, but words carry a lot of power, and the subtleties of language program people, because anything that's subconscious is like hypnotizes them. So the way, like, the media words things, all that stuff, the way politicians word things, it's just a subtle difference of meaning, but in in our programmed subconscious mind, it's everything, and it triggers certain responses and certain beliefs, and it propagates the false beliefs, and you know and that's what we're that's what the awakening is. It's getting through the illusion so that we can change that, right? So anyway, 3 card spread, clear my mind. 1, 2, 3. um yeah. Okay. So what I was saying in the beginning, what did I say? That this is going to be a reset week. Well, these cards don't reflect that. We have the 5 of Wands, the 7 of Wands or rods, and then the 5 of Swords, basically. Now, probably because sometimes I translate this into what I know. I know that big spending bill of Donald Trump and the Republicans, that fondly became known as the Big Beautiful Bill. Is that going to pass? I think it will. Maybe not. Maybe not by July 4th. I don't know. If, that threat about Congress isn't that they're going to have to just stay in their chairs and not sleep or pee until it's passed. I'm exaggerating. I'm just kidding. But I think that or other things are going to come. That a lot of conflict. That ceasefire that we're hearing about between Iran and Israel that I didn't predict. You remember that one? And at first I was saying, how did I miss that? But as time goes on, I say, is it really a ceasefire? Is that really going to hold? Maybe that's why I didn't. I think eventually it will, and I think that they're moving in that direction. But this just still feels like a lot of conflict. I understand the stock market's doing very well now, right? I don't think that's last. I think it's going to be up and down in July. It's just too volatile an energy, and um, it just feels like this could go on a personal level or in the world out there. It just feels like we just need to just really be in our heart, be in our power, and be very grounded. Because I think a lot of conflicting energy is going to be thrown at us. And I think there's going to be, well, it makes sense there would be some big demonstrations because we're coming up to July 4th, right? A lot of people, here in the U.S., feel that the Constitution is not being upheld. It feels like we're treading more towards socialism or communism. I'm not saying that's true or anything. It's just a perception of people, and and more pushback. So you would expect there to be more demonstrations coming up to the 4th of July. I had this vision of just a big one around Washington D.C. I can see it in my mind now. I see the not the obelisk. What's it called? Uh, but anyway, right in the center of like the Capitol, just like tons of people. Like maybe even 100,000. Mostly peaceful, but not always. Yeah, I feel experiencing. Yeah, they'll probably be the National Guard. They may not be called out, but they'll be on call. In other words, I think that and rightfully so. I think that the governments or the military, police, or whatever, are expecting there to be some crowds, and it might be unruly, basically. Uh, but in your life, you may feel like some of you may feel like you're in the no-win scenario in something, and for the Trekkies, the Kobayashi Maru test. Captain Kirk, of course, cheated, but that's Captain Kirk, right? Uh, but you may feel like, yeah, and if you feel like you're in a situation where you can win, just try to, again. A lot of it is the ego. I mean, I have an ego too. If I feel like I always want to get my word, get the last word. I get that, but sometimes you just need to step back, and it's like if you can't win, you can't win. No matter, a lot of people are going to be in situations that no matter what you say, it'll be gaslighted and twisted, basically. And when that happens, it's like, all right, you know what? Let's agree to disagree. End of conversation. Go back into your high vibes. The more of us that can vibrate in the heart, the more we're sending those positive energies into the collective, and the more it softens some of all the stress and negativity. Because these are very stressful cards. And the Five of Swords is actually a victory, but there's usually a price to pay. I mean, there's different meanings to the card. Now, there's a lot of cloud. The warrior's got his swords here. He's got one in the ground. In other depictions, not in not in the Hanson Roberts, unless these are people, I can't tell. I should put my glasses on. But in some depictions, it's like the defeated people are scattering, basically. So it's almost like there's a victory, but then we have to heal from the battle wounds, basically. So, you know what? I think things are coming to a head in certain situations in our lives and in the world around us, and I think we have to really practice what we preach, or I have to practice what I preach, which is being aware and have an opinion, have a voice, obviously, but stay in the heart, stay in that place of power, that place of neutrality, and that place of compassion and love, no matter what. And if you get pulled out, well, take a few deep breaths, express what you need to express. Sometimes we need to ventilate. Like like I've encountered law of attraction people that are like, you can't have angry thoughts, you've got to stop that, or whatever. And to me, I don't think that works, because we react. We are feeling emotional beings, right? So if I'm just like, smile on my face when I'm seeing like my friend suffering, or I'm seeing terrible things going on, or if I'm very frustrated, I'm just going to suppress it, and then I'm going to vibrate in that frequency of frustration and anger, and that's what I'm going to attract into my life. So there's an art of ventilating, basically. That's the point I'm saying. If you're frustrated or angry, vent it, and then come back into the high vibes. Don't hold on to that crap. So no, I don't believe that a negative thought or a negative action is going to ruin your law of attraction. I do believe that the heart's more powerful. I do believe if you can let all that stuff go and come back to the heart, those positive thoughts and emotions are much stronger than the negative ones anyway. I think you guys know what you're saying. So I think this is relevant to that and what's going on. I'm seeing, armies and soldiers, not surprising. I think there's going to be some big news or big thing in Russia, Ukraine, that war. There's some semblance of a treaty with the Republic of Congo, right, in Africa. I don't talk a lot about Africa, but I did a little bit in the psychic forecast for July, because it just feels like, even if that's true, I just see a lot of destabilization, a lot of imperialism. Not colonization, but maybe subversive colonization. I think they're discovering more like rare earth minerals, diamonds, things like that in Africa. And stuff like that. So I think we're going to hear more about that continent. But the original point I was going to make is, we hear about 2 conflicts when there's about 20 in the world, and most of them we don't hear about, basically. So I think something really going to go down by the middle of July around Russia, Ukraine. I think that, and we may go into that ceasefire that I predicted back in last December for the month of July. I think August is looking better than July for that at this point. As I say in the beginning, time moves in waves also, so the timelines are always changing. It's almost, I mean, unless they show me like they pop a month in my mind or show me a season. If I'm doing psychic work and I'm going into the realm, I'm going out of the linear time modality and into the timelessness and getting my images and feelings based on the current timelines and projecting it. But if we change our energy, that can change the prediction, that can change the outcomes. But also, if I'm in a timeless reality, how am I going to know what linear time it's going to be in, right? So, and that's true, I think, for most people that do psychic work. So yeah, a lot of energy here. Wands is energy. Sword is more mind or thought. Like Pentacles is earth and physical and Cups is emotion. So these are like the four different aspects. The four different directions of our experiences. So in any regards, what else is it saying? They show me fish on the water. In the next week or two, there could be a pretty big tsunami. I've got tons of videos about that. People on the West Coast. Always the West Coast is the most vulnerable. Of course, the Indian Ocean. What happened in the Boxing Day tsunami? That was in the Indian Ocean, right? It wasn't in the Pacific Ring of Fire. So they can happen anywhere. It can even happen in the Atlantic Ridge if you get a big enough what they call subduction or thrust earthquake. They could cause one ice slide in Antarctica into the sea, although they're less likely in Antarctic winter. Granted, that could cause a very large tsunami that would affect the whole planet. So. Yeah, they're showing me. That's very classic. Most tsunamis, the trough arrives before the crescent. So the water usually recedes. Now that's not always the case. Sometimes the crest can arrive before the trough. Every tsunami is unique and different. It's basically based on the path of the earthquake or the underground volcano or whatever's causing that would affect the strength, the shape of it, the speed. Whether we get the trough or the crest first. I think it depends on whether the subduction is downward thrust before the upward, but I don't know enough about the physics to say that for sure. Stefan Burns knows. I don't. And so that's always on the table. A lot of astrological aspects in July. We've known for a long time this is going to be a big month of change. We'll see how it all manifests. April to me appeared to be a very changeable month also. From what I was predicting and picking up on, I would rate that as underwhelming in a good way. But I feel like Spears saying, "No, July is different. Into August too, and into the months that follow. Things have to. The tower has to fall to rebuild on the stronger foundation. So, you know what? I think what it's saying in your life: hold your ground. Don't say yes to people when you'd rather say no to them. Um, don't acquiesce unless it serves your highest good or the greatest good of your loved ones and community or whatever. Um, and it may be time to part ways with certain people in your lives. So anyways, I've got other divination tools to go into, but let me just see what you guys are saying. I think if anything else shows up, I'll put my glasses on, grab a little water here. Baba Ram Das. Oh, did he? Wow, that's a gift. Ram Das with two S's. He used to be Richard Alpert and worked very closely with Timothy Leary on the LSD experiments. And was it? I don't know if it was Be Here Now or which of his books or I think it's actually Journey of Awakening. Is that the name of the book? Where he met the Indian guru, the enlightened master. And when there's a truly enlightened master, they're not of their body anymore. Like in other words, like somebody in the top of the Himalayas could be like in my room with me right now and with me now and knows everything that's going on. But anyway, he was still into the LSD and basically he's like, give me the medicine. That was the story. I read this book like 25, 30 years ago. So I'm probably a few details off it. Give me the medicine, which was the acid. It was like 900 mics, which is a super high dosage of LSD, by the way. he took it. He just sat in meditation. Every now and then he opened his eyes, wink at Ram Dass, and then Ram Dass got it. He said, he's so far beyond. He doesn't need the medicine. He doesn't need the LSD to shift his assemblage point to be able to perceive more than what he physically perceives. So anyway, since you mentioned Ram Dass, I had and he came to you. I had to say that. Yeah, Maharishi spelling. Yes, very good, very good. Cairo is the oldest forest here. From the old. Wow. Well, named after Cairo, right? I think you're talking about Cairo, New York, or maybe you're talking about Cairo, Egypt. That would make more sense. I mean, I think they have petrified trees. I live near Cairo, New York. I always hi, Colleen. I don't think we gave you any love yet. I love yoga. I haven't practiced in a few years. Good for you. Yeah, yoga's great. Good. I'm sure he does want you to channel his teaching. So go with that. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, I've got other divination tools. Let's do this. I've got the sacred geometry deck. Well, I have to show this card because it just popped out. Another 5. 3 5s. 5 is change. This card just popped right out. I literally popped right out of the deck. Maybe Ram Dass is here saying, show this card also. 5 is change. 5 is freedom. 5 is very unpredictable energy. Expect in your lives and the world around us this to be a pretty intense week of change. I feel like this is going to extend to the second week. But, not surprisingly, 4th of July, they're expecting, the biggest travel 4th of July, in history. We'll see if that manifests. I'm not traveling. I'm not going to be out there on the road. But anyway, don't worry about the money also. We all worry about money, and it's used to keep us in those lower worry vibrations, and there's legitimately there's things to worry about. I get it. So what I do is in the morning, part of my morning routine, even if I'm in negative balance, I mean, I'm doing better financially. My law of attraction working. I'm happy to say I've had horrible money karma my whole life, and very, very bad things have happened to me financially, but I'm much more stable now. That's the good news. But anyway, what I do is just I visualize wealth, and I just say thank you for the food that's on my table. Thank you that I've got a roof over my head. Now, if you're homeless and destitute, then it's a little bit different. But I think at least 95, if not 100% of you guys that are watching this video, you have a home, which makes you probably more blessed than half of the world, half of the population out there. And sometimes when I get into my little like financial tizzies, which hasn't happened for a good while, thankfully, and I get back into my heart, I'm like, you know what? I've got food. I've got a place to live. These are just bills. That's all. So put it into perspective. The more we can catch ourselves worrying and flip that in our minds and our heart, the more we're going to attract good things into our lives, right? I remember those parties. Yeah, we had a good time, and Heather's came to a few of them also, or at least a couple of them. So I have the Native American tarot also. I was going to do the sacred geometry deck, but this one came at me. So 3 5s and the 7. Yeah, it's all about change. Big time of change. Lot of battling. So yeah. Going to be an interesting week. It's interesting. They're showing me hands together, and then the charge is coming from the hand. So I think this is a good time to do some Reiki, right? Or do some energy work, either for yourself or get an energy healing. So here we go. This card here, and this card is the Hermit. Oh, that's me. Hermit is key 9, I think. Yeah. The major arcana. It aligns with the sign Virgo. Mars just went into Virgo, by the way. And I think right now the moon and Mars are in conjunction in the sign of Virgo. Mars and Virgo, that brings, Mars is granted, but in the sign of Virgo, because Mars is energy, that's going to bring more attention and energy into healing, into diplomacy, things like that. Because Virgo is more around the common sense. It's sort of the slower aspects of the sign Mercury, basically. Where Gemini is the more frenetic aspect of the planet Mercury. I mean, and he's got his lantern. He's got, it looks like a mule, but that can represent help, like births. Beasts of burdens are really, are helpers, right? And everything. He's got this walking stick. He's an older gentleman like myself. So I am the hermit. I don't wear the hat though. Um, uh, and Yeah, so it's just, really, again, it's more about grounding and connecting to that higher wisdom that we all have access to through our higher selves. We can connect with other spirit guides, ascended masters, extraterrestrials that are all aspects of God or collective consciousness anyway. Oh, good. Did you watch that on my channel, or if it's somebody else's, let us know. Maybe you did earlier. But I do have a playlist on how to do heart brain coherence here on the Medium channel. The medicine wheel, they wanted me to pull this card also. That's 10. Interesting. We got key 9 and key 10, both of the major arcana. Um, so the wheel will turn, and what goes up comes down, what comes down comes up. So this is really good energy. The medicine wheel is the wheel of fortune in the regular tarot. The medicine wheel teaching is very huge, and I relate to it a lot. And it just shows that we're all in a certain not a fixed point. It's not static. We can move around the wheel, but wherever we are in the medicine wheel, we see the center of that circle differently, right? So we see reality differently. Like if I'm in the north and you're in the east, this figure in the middle is going to look different to you than me. But guess what? It's the same. It's just that the vantage point that we're looking at it is different, right? So we have to remember that, especially when we don't agree about politics or about this, that, and the other thing. We're seeing it from different vantage points. And the idea of the teaching is you walk around the entire wheel and you get to see reality from all possible vantage points. And then you become more holistic, and then you become more aligned with Great Spirit, right? City Island. Yeah, it happened. What's that song where he goes, "It happened before, it'll happen again"? I can't remember what song it is. Oh, it's an old Talking Heads song called "Warning Sign." If anybody that likes Talking Heads, I mean, David Byrne is a full-on genius. That's from the album More Songs About Buildings and Food, and they're silly too. um, but you made me think of that song for Cabin. Happened before, it will happen again. Anyway, this is a sacred geometry deck. Uh, oh, from Battlestar Galactica. Oh, yeah, I used to like that show. War and Peacetime. Yeah, War and Peacetime. Oh, good. We have other Talking Heads fans. Good for you. They're great. That's like my dance music. Because part of my workout, I do a half hour of dancing, like high pace dancing. Yeah, and I believe if you don't stop dancing, you'll never grow old. I'm almost 67, going strong. Can still dance. Can still hike all these mountains here. Um, Bodies do get older, but age is an illusion. And oh yeah, I don't have like that sunlight that brings out the sun wrinkles. So yes, I look young on camera right now. So my little byline is, "Oh, Adam, what's your secret for looking young?" And my answer is, "I don't fear growing old." Simple as that. And I don't. It's not like a wise ass comment. It's real. I don't fear growing old. Um, and therefore I'm not worried. So I'm not keeping a thought in my mind, which is age, and then charging it with emotions of worries, and then manifesting it on my face and my body and everything like that. So anyhow, I think you get the point. Let me just Get my sacred geometry card. I need to clear my mind a second. I don't know if you guys have been feeling like a lot of like crown chakra activation. But I swear, I'm feeling more buzzing right here, and over the last couple of years, I've redeveloped a semblance of a soft spot. You know, like the baby soft spot. I mean, it's not soft, but it developed a little bit of an indentation, and it's gotten soft, and now it almost feels like there's something on the top of my head buzzing it. So I think these energies are helping us open our crown chakra, and when that happens, we accept into our systems more universal light, basically to help open us up more, right, to universal truths and energies. All right, so I was talking, not thinking, so I got the right card. So when we're thinking, we're not connecting, and when we're connecting, we're not thinking. We got belief, which happens to be key 11. Like this. Oh, that was the meditation card. The Four of Wands has an 11-11 quality. The frequency of belief supports our sense of self worth, based on our gifts and talents, and a strong connection to source. So you can get the energy just by gazing in the center. 6, 8. So there's nine. There's nine major spots, right? And I think 8 smaller ones. So 9 is the pinnacle of the 369 code, because it's 3 cubed, or 3 times 3. So 9 is a very powerful number in numerology, but so is 8 also, because it relates to Saturn. It relates to wealth, money, as well as lessons, karma, growth, and things of that nature. Um, so anyhow, there you have it. So that's the belief. So what belief do we have? Do we believe the belief that we are powerful beings, that that are conduits of great spirit, God, or source, and that through our own power we can make a difference in the world? Or do we believe that we're victims and we're all screwed because we have a crazy president that's ruining the country? You know, it's what you believe, basically. Or since I using that example, or do you believe that even though there's crazy things that are going on, if you don't like Donald Trump, but you see a bigger picture and see it as a step into our evolution and into our awakening. So it's really, our belief shapes our reality, right? Because what we believe about something, that's how we'll interpret it. And if we have these programmed belief systems, we're going to judge and measure everything that we see based on those belief systems. So if we learn how to go within and change the belief systems, sometimes that has to happen through experience, right? Belief shapes experience, experience shapes belief, right? So it's a relationship between the two. But if you cultivate the belief, you'll shift the experiences to support that. And I guess the reverse would be true also by that. But yeah, so it's, hi Katie, or Kadi. So what are we saying? We are blessed to visit, see, observe, learn, absorb, transmute, and carry on. Bear Mountain native card, all healing. Yeah. And Bear Mountain, I haven't been down there for a good while, but all around Harriman State Park, it's just nice energy down there, especially being so close to New York City. But New York City is a very spiritual energy, and people don't necessarily see it that way. Okay, I already got my card to flip to the card when it fell over. I remember, one time I think I was doing mushrooms back in like the 80s or 90s in the city, and I just felt the resonance. I was like, wow, there's a spiritual vibe here. And I didn't see New York City that way. I saw it as just, capitalism, greed, power, all the things that I disdain, basically. But then when I had that experience, I felt the resonance, and it shifted my perspective. It shifted my belief, right? That's what we were talking about. And then I saw New York City in a whole different light, because it's like, oh, now I get it. That's why all this is happening right here. That's why all these skyscrapers built up. That's why this became the financial capital of the world and one of the most influential cities on the planet, just because it has a spiritual resonance in the first place. And then I had another vision during a where I was standing, and I was Native American in the vision. I was walking around. It was the blizzard of 1983. We're going back ways with that. Got about 22 inches of snow in Manhattan. It was snowing like crazy, 2, 3, 4 inches an hour. Crazy, crazy snow. And I was walking around the snow, and snow is, just basically trillions of six-sided ice crystals falling. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You don't know how much we appreciate you guys. And even if you're not, donating monetarily, you're donating your time and energy to this. So, I appreciate you guys so much. Anyway, let me quickly get to the story so I can get to this card. So anyway, in the vision, I was standing on the shores of the East River, although this was in Stuyvesant Town in Manhattan. So I was standing on the shores, but I was, in the middle of this a little bit east of the big circle in Stuyvesant Town, in the middle with the big fountain, and experiencing being a Native American, having a vision of these huge obelisks, in this beautiful land that I knew. Because think about Manhattan was like in the delta of the Hudson River. It was a hugely fertile land. And it was all forest back in that time, right? All forest and the rivers. Um, so I had to do a little checking. So I went back, and I discovered that the exact place that I was standing would have been where the shoreline would have been. A lot of Town was built on a landfill, basically. So I was standing exactly the point that would have been the shores of the river, and that's what I had in the vision. So time is circular again. It comes in waves. That what we were talking about in the beginning. That's how we can go into our parallel lives. They're not really past lives. It's just our perception of time makes it seem like past lives, but it's all happening, and it's all like happening in waves and patterns, basically. So in the Isis Oracle deck, we got the Serpent of Fire, Priestess of the Serpent Sister. So this might be more like the more active side of the divine feminine, basically. More, it's like the warriorship energy. And what does she have here? Um, it's like she's got these two. It's very faint. You can see it on the card. There's like two, like deities or gods or goddesses that are with her, and fire's the energy of change and transformation. What does fire do? It creates, it destroys, it transmutes. What about the phoenix? It rises up out of its own ashes from the fire and creates, basically. And the sun is a big fireball. It's a big ball of plasma, basically. Well, the corona's plasma. The sun itself, it has plasma as well as helium and hydrogen. But that's what it is. So, fire is about change. So, cultivate that inner fire, the fire of the heart, the fire of intention, the fire of love, basically. So I'll start to sing some U2 now song. I forgot what song where he talks about the fire of love. I'm pretty sure it's from the Joshua Tree. Which is probably one of my top 10 favorite albums of all time. And I like you too, but I wouldn't consider them one of my favorite bands. But that album is like, love it, love it. So I mean, I do like you too, but I wouldn't call them one of my favorites. All right, what else do we have here? We have the medicine cards. Let's do that. See, we've been on an hour and 8 minutes, so we're gonna do just a couple more things. Who's saying the cloisters? Oh, I like the cloisters. That's a nice area of the city too. Yeah, definitely go to the cloisters. Isis, yes, thank you. That was a gift from Mr. Floyd's Universe, and who has a great channel going on himself. And Katie, I like sometimes I like. Oh, hi, comment. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. I see what's going on. We're having some connection issues. Yeah, go visit Air Mountain. Yeah, it's got some really cool energy there. I think I like it here up in the Catskills. And what else is Kate? I say. All right, we're definitely having some weird connection issues going on. So I don't know if if it's affecting my image or my voice, but a new plan to be built. Let's say New Year's, I want to read until yeah. So we have to send a lot of love. Yeah. All right. There's some huge delays going on. We're back to like one little skinny bar again. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, I didn't really know that. I just I just like really that album. I like the one after also, the one that had Mysterious Ways on it. Beautiful song about the goddess. Because I studied a lot of Wicca back in the day, so that song really spoke to me. And also there's an ELO song about the goddess too called I can't get it out of my head, like an old song. Yeah, Midnight on the Water. I saw the ocean's daughters. The opening line to that song. Um, it does keep freezing. That's what I thought. Okay, thanks for cluing me in with that. Um, so this is the medicine cards. Native American. We got the otter. I think otter's about playfulness, jovial. Splashing around in the waves, having a grand old time. They show me a big diamond. Also, there's a lot of value just to have fun, and not to let all the stress of the world sour your ability just to have a good time, like being with a friend or going outdoors. Or I'm just seeing some, like canoeing or kayaking on the water. Maybe a couple of you plan to do that. Here in the Northeast, it's a nice, warm summer, sunny day. And I just need to check with the book because this is one we haven't pulled yet in tarot time. In the 4 years we've been doing tarot time, that is, I don't think I got otter once, maybe once. Oh, it's women's medicine. Yeah, we were talking about the divine feminine before. Women's medicine. That makes sense, right? The medicine held by others is a set of lessons in female energy. This applies to both men and women. All of us have female side. The other's hide is very often used to make medicine bags for powerful women because it represents balanced female energy. Work with the divine feminine. Do I still have the Isis card out? Or is this it? Yeah, so serpent of fire, this powerful feminine energy. So that's another theme, and maybe we need that because a lot of the whole thing with power over others, warring nations to take over their lands, that kind of a thing. That's all like, well, I shouldn't say all, but that's reflective, in my opinion, of male ego energy, not necessarily divine male energy, but so I think this is just saying, go into the divine feminine, maybe do some meditation or work in that area. Last but not least, um, I have this is just a quick angel message because I know the I'm glad that you guys are hearing me, even if my image is freezing a lot. I still think otters are playful. I still think that meaning applies, but that's good that I looked at that and got their meaning. That would be what's their name? Jamie Sams and David Carson. They're the creators of the medicine cards. So this is the from Doreen Virtue's Past Incarnation in her same current body. This is the messages from the Angels Oracle deck. Maya, that's the goddess, the angel Maya, according to her. Maya can also, it's the Sanskrit word for illusion, right? But schooling, studying, and education help your life's purpose and personal growth at this time. The angels will guide you and help you with this process. So, who it may concern, this message is for you. So, if you're thinking about more schooling or education, whether it's formal or spiritual, Spirit is saying this is the right time. Yes, indeed, you are getting that right. Swim and play, yes. I think they do. Maybe not quite like beavers, but I think they do. Uh, and oh yeah, we're definitely having issues. Don't mistake they being cute and not being fierce. I bet get that they can be fierce, right? And you still got the funk energy and has to change. Wonder why it's Holy Land for some versus another location. I guess it's just our perspective. We're on the medicine wheel we're seeing it from, right? As we were talking about earlier. All right. All right. I know I'm missing a lot of your comments. I just saw I married a hockey player. Oh, you married? Has MS since 38, but I always loved to ice skate. And are you actually married somebody who's a hockey player? I'm back in the day. I followed the Rangers, and I used to do readings for Chris Drury's wife, Rory Drury. Um, I haven't seen her for a while, but that's kind of interesting, when you like a team, and then you I didn't even know that I was doing sessions for the GM's wife. So anyway, have a beautiful Sunday, everybody. They say we're taking a virtual hiatus for the week. I may post a tarot reading, a short here and there if I have time, but it's kind of, it just feels like the energies that I need to pull back for a little bit, and we need to do that. That's again that those cycles, those crests, those troughs. I had a huge crest, a lot of new people on. That's why we peaked at 100 on tarot time, where we used to peak at around 50 or 60. Um, but that's a lot of energy, because and you guys know I'm very much in this for the community, and if I can, I try to answer every single comment I get, and I think last week I got 1,000 comments on these videos, so it's been intense, it's been busy, and it's time for me to go into my little lull. And but tomorrow 11:11 a.m. Eastern time, that's when the condensed version of the important, I might add, July psychic forecast is coming on. So that'll be released, and then next Sunday in tarot time is when we're going to resume back to a full schedule the following week. So thanks everybody for being here. I love you, and we will see you next time. Be well.